locked into the Live with Brandon Blakney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakney.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Live with Brandon Blakney. I know I've been away for a few weeks, but we coming back strong this week, definitely making up for the absence. First off, we got an interview with Rod Funderburk, the chairman of the 87th Precinct in Forsyth County on the Democratic side. Rapped with him briefly a couple days ago. Just with everything going on with the presidency, there's a lot of division, it seems like, in the country. So we talked about that. Also bringing it back to a local level, we're seeing Senator Tom Tillis, and his seat is up right now, and there's some people gunning for it. So we definitely rapped about that a little bit as well. Just speaking on the progression we've made as a country, but also overall just speaking of how the energy and morale feels right now. And this is really for people my age, definitely the millennials, who have become the biggest generation now. Man, we hold a big key right now, y'all, and we really got to be educated. So we're here to just tell both sides. Doesn't matter what party you're on, or what side you're aligned with, but we need to get the facts and take it candidate by candidate to see what's going on here. Also, I gotta give my review of Last Chance U season 4, Indy Patriots. Man, it was probably my least favorite season. We'll just go ahead and hop into that. It was probably my least favorite season, just based off the fact that, one, the team didn't perform well, even though it's bigger than the record. But, it's mostly exposure. We understand that. But one, the team just didn't succeed. I mean, for one, we got all this hype just brought in from the jump. Everybody's hyping. You got Jermaine Johnson, number 1 player, Marquise King, top receiving threat. You just so much talent, probably the best defense they said they had in school history, and they're coming off a conference title. So we thought, Coach Brown was leading the charge. There was a lot of hype around this program, and we followed a 2-7 team. They were 2-7, my guy. Like, we poured hours into this squad, and they did not deliver it. It was hard to see, and it just seemed like a lot of the players didn't perform to their maximum capability. More so on the defensive side, they definitely did their thing, but offensively, it just seemed like it never clicked. And I don't know if bringing Malik Henry back was the right move for Coach Brown. We all know it's never a talent issue, but it seemed like it really tore this team in half a bit. You got Jay Jones and the other kid Chase, and they're competing. Also AJ competing for this starting position, and then Malik Henry, he tells them it's crazy because we wasn't buying it. At least speaking personally, I wasn't buying it. They really gonna bring this kid there to be a scout player and not to play? Come on. It was nice to see Malik, though, move on to Nevada, and he's competing for a starting job currently. So that was one of the kids that moved on. It just seemed like this team got hampered with injuries, controversies, and it was all downhill, man, after that 21-3 blown lead against Garden City, and it just seemed like the team, the Patriots, they never recovered. Indy never recovered. So it was interesting to see that. Of course, Coach Brown, man. I think he has a lot of love for these guys. If you ever had a hard-nosed, tough coach that's just one of the guys, you know that they might come off as harsh on camera, but you're not seeing the private moments. And a lot of these guys, including the number 1 player in the nation, committed to Georgia, JUCO-wise, Jermaine Johnson, in a recent quote, stuck up for his guys. Just we didn't get to see everything. The camera just showed, Coach intense, locked in game mode. We didn't get to see everything, though. Him being there for these guys and a father figure for a lot of these guys that needed tough love to get them where they were going to go. It was interesting to see, they definitely butt heads, but at the same time, you know, they were there for each other and they were family at the end of the day. And we know he had this kid's best interest at heart, aside from, the controversy. I mean, it was interesting choice of words, man, with the German kid, the student. You gotta be a creative mofo, man, to really come up with some of the swears this guy puts together. Like, Coach Brown's a character, man, but it was sad to see. I think it was overblown because it was a text message and people actually read it and was like, whoa, like, hold on, whoa, too much dip on your chip. But, you know, they gave the kid an opportunity to come there and learn the game that he loved and get an education. Um, he did eventually get cut. Not sure, the full details on that. But it was just a big mess, and I feel like if they would have had a successful season, they maybe would have won a natty. Coach Brown would probably still be there, man. Like, winning cures all, and you just can't be that guy with a 2-7 record. It's just not going. That town isn't going for it. You're not in the big city, and the program wasn't going for it either. So it was interesting to see how that went. It was just, and then on top of that, now Coach Brown getting looked at for fraud accusations that the dude, fraudulently impersonated a lawyer to try to get an article dropped that was about a brawl between them and Garden City, which is quietly becoming one of the best football rivalries in the country, low key. But it was just, man, it was just interesting, man. It's cool though for Coach Harris, Kiyoshi Harris, that got the starting gig. A lot of people liked him, and he's another great coach, strong, well spoken, that really relates to the players and is gonna bring greatness out of them, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see him take over. I think just broadly, widely, consensus. I think Kaylon Davis was KD was the favorite character. Just the energy that he brought every single time. Man, and he ended up at Arkansas State. I think he's definitely gonna do some big things there. And he was just a goofy dude that it was just relatable, very approachable, and you just found yourself rooting for him. And it was cool that he made it to the next level. I hated it for Marquise King, man. He kind of rubbed me the wrong way when he was going off on his roommate about being the best. He was not shy about letting people know that he thought he was the best receiver, which he probably was in that whole entire conference. I mean, dude was a monster matchup, speed demon. But it was just, he tough too, man. I mean, battled through how many concussions, broken bones. Like, it was just crazy. It's like he couldn't catch a break. Then he ended up leaving because his mom, fell ill. And now he's ineligible for a Division I scholarship. So it's just crazy. I mean, people make it from all levels. So maybe Division II is, an explorable option. People make it from Division II. If you're talented, they'll find you. It was just sad to see, man. It just, things just kept, smacking my man in the face. And, hopefully he gets through it. We're definitely hoping for the best for all these guys. Um, it was just, it was just a brutal season, man. But multiple guys though that weren't featured did end up signing, and majority of them from the defense. Some wide receivers too. Matt Wilcox, Eastern Kentucky. Tight end Bryson Cannon, Eastern Michigan. Roy Livingston, Florida Atlantic. But most of the talent, man, was really on the defense this year. Kanoy Dang was the guy I was mentioning, the linebacker, signed to Cal. A couple DBs, Antonio Wallace signed to TCU. It was a lot of talent on display, but I just don't know if it was developed. And then the quarterback that ended up winning the battle I mentioned earlier, Chase Hildreth, Texas State, one quarterback got signed. Malik's competing. Jay Jones, man. Oh, he's another kid that just couldn't catch a break with the injuries. Just never really was 100% healthy. And I think he mentioned he would be open for a position change. And I think that's a really good idea, just for him to go in open-minded, because athletic-wise, man, the kid's a stud. But it was just kind of weird to me, though. You got to really know your systems, though. You trying to become a quarterback, a professional quarterback at Georgia Tech? Bro, you didn't know they ran the triple option? Damn near a decade? Come on, man. So that, you just, recruits, be aware of your system. Do your research before you sign on that dotted line. It was another one, Bobby Bruce. Just, come on. My man hit a lick, and he expect us to think he just stole food. You was roommates with KD. He had the whole candy store. Why you didn't just, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, Bobby. But at least he did get on with a professional team, Arena Upstart in Florida. So Bobby Bruce still playing football, and that's the ultimate goal for these guys, to just try to make a better life for themselves. Just overall, I like the coaching staff was good. Coach Brown had some really good assistants around him, the ones that he did decide to keep. And I think the Dream U brand is definitely something that they can continue to build up. So it'll be interesting to see. I do have to say, though, definitely my least favorite season so far. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but it just didn't deliver the same amount of success that we've seen in past seasons. But definitely, nothing major. Moving on, got this interview with my guy Rod Funderburk. Definitely want to jump into that. So, with no further ado, let's get into it.
Good afternoon. My name is Rod Funderburk. I am here with Brandon Blakney. We are live. I am coming to you from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where I am currently the chairman of the 82nd Precinct, which is the East Forsyth voting precinct here in Forsyth County. And I'm here talking with Brandon Blakney about some few Democratic issues and questions that he may have that millennials could possibly be interested in.
What's up, everybody? We're back at it again, live with Brandon Blakney. Got my guy Rod Funderburk here. Another action-packed episode. Like I've always said, man, we're bigger than sports, thinking outside the box. So that's exactly what this episode, this interview is going to be starting off. Rod, appreciate you joining me, my man. I know you're a busy guy running all around the city. Let's just dive right into it. So it's a lot going on in the political realm, especially in the Democratic side. You guys making a bid to try to take the presidency back. North Carolina's going to be a big state. Could be a potential swing state, and it seems like we've been really close the last vote, as far as the last few elections, as far as voting. It's kind of been down the middle. Are we going to be a Democrat state this time around, and what is it going to take for you guys to try to make that happen?
Well, Brandon, you never know. When it comes to voting, you don't know how it's going to wind up. What it's going to take is people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that comes down to the voters. If they are not happy with how things are coming and their outcomes, then they'll come out and they'll vote.
Mm-hmm.
But, how we're going to do it, it's all about each individual's issues. I can't tell you what your issues are or what's important to you and your family.
Exactly.
Just like you can't tell me what's important to me and my family. Of course, the candidates, whoever they are, Republican, Democrat, Independent, they're going to come out and they're going to try and tell us, how they're going to help us.
Most definitely.
And based upon what they say and what we hear, each individual is going to take it and decide if that is the person that we're going to give our vote to.
True.
So, when it comes down to it, it's really a hard question to answer. It depends. Right now the economy's doing well.
I
think people are happy with that. The stock market's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I know the folks on Wall Street are especially happy with that.
Eating it up. Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But there are still some people who, are not being able to eat from those particular parts of the plate.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who are not happy with their jobs. There are some people who feel like, The economy is still not doing them, their best interest.
Definitely.
They're not in the position that they want to be in. So some of those people are going to possibly vote the other way or look for a different candidate that can help them to achieve what's important to their hearts and their families.
Now, people switch affiliations all the time. Just because you start a certain way doesn't mean you have to necessarily go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that people, not to say a majority, but more and more people are starting to take it candidate by candidate now?
I think more and more young people are definitely starting to take it candidate by candidate.
Mm-hmm.
I do have the opportunity to speak with folks who range from 40s to 50s and
Mm-hmm.
then 55 and up. You'd be amazing that the people who are 55 and up, they are stuck
Yeah.
in whatever party that they've known, that they've grown up with.
Mm-hmm.
They are not going to budge. It doesn't matter if that candidate has possibly ruined something in their family's life, if that candidate has done something that's affected them directly,
Mm-hmm.
that is who they are.
Yeah.
And then you have some people who are kind of in my age category, in their 40s, who will also stick close. Hey, if I'm a Republican, I'm going to be a Republican. Some are Democrats, I'm going to be a Democrat. That is it. And then you have a mixture of people my age who are swinging. They're like, hey, this candidate, it seems like they're going to do well with the issues that I have, whether it's the economy, whether it's health care, whatever it is. And those folks are going to go with that candidate.
Yeah.
If those folks see that, hey, I went with this candidate, it didn't turn out in my family or my best interest.
Mm-hmm.
So at the next election, they're going to swing and go to the next candidate. I saw a lot of that happen. People who voted for President Obama. At the end, they said, hey, things weren't bad, but I just
Exactly.
expected a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
which caused them to go to the other side, and they voted for President Trump now. So, again, it depends on
Definitely.
what is happening in your life and what's important to you.
Now, with the millennial generation overtaking the baby boomers as the largest generation right now, that's definitely a vote both parties are trying to appeal to.
Mm-hmm.
Are we seeing more of millennials sticking to their family values, or is it people breaking away? Or are we seeing more people kind of have a mind of their own from away from their parents?
I'm thinking the millennials are definitely having a mind of their own. And this is why I say that. There's a reason that I say that. I had the opportunity to speak with some young ladies who were in their upper 50s, early 60s. And one of the things that we were talking about was genders as far as being president.
Mm.
And them being older, they said their generation is just not ready for a female president.
Yeah.
So I asked them, I said, well, why? I said, and then they asked me, they turned around and said, well, would you vote for a female president?
Wow.
And I said, I would vote for the best candidate.
Exactly.
I said, so if that best candidate happens to be female, I'd vote for her. If that best candidate is male, I'd vote for him, whoever it is. And they said, well, you and the rest of the millennials will be the ones who will put a female in office. And I said, are you saying that you wouldn't? And they said, no. And I said, well, tell me why you wouldn't.
Yeah,
And
that's
this is what they said. They said, well, we've grown up, and they were Democrats,
Mhm.
and they said we've grown up in a conservative but yet Democratic household. And when they said conservative, what they meant was they followed the Bible wholeheartedly.
Okay.
These are Christians, devout Christians who believe in what the Bible says, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of things in the Bible that I definitely go along with.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
mean,
I
we
mean?
are in the Bible Belt, so
We're
I
in the
totally
Bible Belt
understand.
for sure. Well, one of the things that they mentioned was that you know the man should be head of the household.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the man is head of the household, to them that means that a female should not be running our country. And and they were straight down the line with it. They didn't sugarcoat it. And they said that that's how they felt. They also said a lot in their generation felt that way.
I can see that.
Yeah, but they also said, hey, we could see a woman being president, but it wouldn't be them who put the woman in. It would be people who thought as myself, as well as the millennials. So that's why I wanted to answer your question. Yes,
definitely.
I think the millennials definitely have a mind of their own. And although they may have parents who could have that mindset, or grandparents who could have the mindset of no, the man runs the household, the man runs the country, et cetera, I think the millennials know they're going to go with what's best for them.
Yeah.
Because they're going out here, they move and they shake totally different than my
Times
generation and the baby boomers and everybody. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I
Yes,
learned
sir.
so much from millennials every day, especially when you're talking about technology and things of that nature. So millennials definitely have a mind of their own. I think it's cool.
Just times are changing, times are progressing. Speaking of a woman president, we've seen Hillary run. Now there's some women in the Democratic Party this year running. Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, some other people. Do one of these ladies, in your opinion, have a legitimate shot? I mean, we saw Kamala kind of pick up some steam after that last debate, but it seems like, Joe Biden and Bernie are still leading the pack. Do either of these ladies have a shot to maybe make a push?
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone has a shot at any given time. Even Elizabeth Warren, I think,
and
has a
that's
pretty
another
good
one.
shot. Yeah, Elizabeth Warren has a pretty good shot. Kamala Harris has a pretty good shot. I'm not sure about Kamala Harris. She seems to be a little bit more, I guess, direct and aggressive, especially when it comes to Joe Biden and things of that nature. But I'll be honest with you. I think the person who will win the Democratic, it will be the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. I think that's going to be whoever the party feels can beat Trump. You know what I mean? Trump's kind of a different animal out there.
And it's tough because it seems like he's steamrolling everything in front of him.
He's steamrolling everything, and I think Trump wants to have a female in front of him. Trump's one of those guys that, and this is my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But to me, he acts as if the female is much more inferior to him. Even when you watch the debates when he went against Hillary Clinton. He acted as if she was an inferior lady. Period.
There were
all
times
you
could see. Yeah, you could see
yes.
it.
And so I feel like he wants to have a female candidate go against him. However, I feel like if a candidate such as a Joe Biden goes against him, I think he's a little nervous about a Joe Biden. I think he feels that Joe Biden can get the best of him, and I think he feels a little inferior to Joe Biden. And you know as well as I know, Joe Biden has plenty of experience when it comes to politics, years on top of years, as well as just coming out being the, vice president for, in my opinion, one of the best presidents that we've had, at least one of the classiest families that we've had in the White House. So
what is Joe pushing in your opinion? Well, just his agenda, because it seems like we're not clear on exactly where everybody stands.
Right now, I don't think anyone is really pushing an agenda right now. I think everything is kind of being generalized, just kind of talking about the country right now. More than anything, people are talking about the state of the country. They're talking about the state of people such as you and I and our colleagues out here. America is a country where it's a big melting pot.
Definitely.
We should all be able to get along with people from different nationalities, different backgrounds, different cultures.
Agreed.
And not only be able to get along with them, but be able to learn from them and take advantage and enjoy each other's cultures.
For sure.
And I think the present state of the White House is causing the country to kind of step back when it comes to looking at other cultures and enjoying them and realizing that, hey, we're all Americans.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Joe Biden is really, profound about getting back to. He wants to say, hey, this is America. We have a way to be great, and it's not about making comments that are misogynist. It's not about making comments that belittle people. It's not about making comments that could even be borderline racist.
Definitely.
It's about picking up those who are down. It's about helping those who are in need of help. Not necessarily giving them a handout, but a hand up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because this is America, and not trampling on those who are down. You know what I mean? So, and those who work hard, the middle class who work hard, the immigrants who have come over here, their descendants who have come over here, and they're still working hard. That is still part of the biggest backbone of the American culture as well as economy.
No doubt.
So, and I think right now, generally speaking, that is kind of where Joe Biden is coming from. And I think once we get into, the serious debates as we get closer to the primaries and whoever wins that, the final primary and things of that nature, I think that's when we really can tell what the issues are, who's going to be able to help you, who's going to be able to help me, who's going to be able to help the millennials, whoever's out there.
For sure. Everybody's just trying to get their piece of the American dream right
Definitely,
now.
man. Definitely. And there's nothing and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? And I think, being president of the free world, you have it's bigger than you.
Exactly.
It's bigger than your family. You know what I mean? With the things that you say, I mean, you could potentially start conflict somewhere.
We've
You know,
seen it
you know
somewhat.
what I mean? I
We've
mean,
seen it
not
somewhat.
only start conflict,
Yeah.
but maybe even wars. You know what I mean? You could tear someone down, but at the same time, you have the opportunity to build them up. And I would just like to see, our our present administration kind of build America up and try and unify America more because he has the power to do it. The
Definitely.
key is, will he do it?
Now we've seen the division, and it seems like Democrats versus the White House all the time in the media. Not to say anybody's wrong or right, it goes both ways. Just looking at President Trump, what do you think his message is going to be trying to get reelected, and also try to, I guess, shade away from some of these comments that have been labeled racist, specifically with the four women of color in Congress?
Well, I don't think that Trump is going to really change anything that got him elected. I mean, he did everything that he said he was going to do. He said he was going to attack the borders.
Yeah.
He was going to get rid of immigrants. He was going to get rid of health care. He's basically going to do everything in reverse that President Obama had done. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it was a lack of, a certain demographic coming out and voting, or if it was just more of another demographic being able to come out and vote. But people heard it. People flocked to it. They went to the polls and they voted for Trump. So right now, why do you change what's working for
True.
you? You know what I mean?
True.
So I don't see him changing or doing anything different. I see him continuing to be the same old Trump. I see him continuing to get those same votes regardless if he, demonizes women or not. There are certain people who are just still going to vote for him regardless. You know what I mean? So I don't see him changing really or doing anything different. I really don't.
You mentioned the ability to vote, and just the ability to get out and get there. We've heard a lot about the districts, bringing it back to a local level, even parts of like campuses in North Carolina A&T specifically being labeled off. Are we a state that makes it easy or more accessible to vote, you think, especially for younger people, or do you think it's tougher to get out in some areas?
I think in some areas, if you want to get out and vote, I really believe that you can. Even here in Forsyth County, Winston-Salem, I had the opportunity. I was able to take some people to the polls last year. And
Awesome.
I'll tell you a funny story. I had an aunt, and she drove some people to the polls, and it was so funny. She would ask everyone who they were voting for. And if they did not say who they were voting for, or if they said the wrong person, she did not give them a ride. Oh,
She's playing home.
yeah.
Right?
Oh, it was the funniest thing. But I think there is access available. People can get out to vote. The issue is now we have the voter ID cards.
Yeah.
And so now it's actually up to the poll as to whether or not they want to enforce that ID card.
And that's poll by poll for school IDs such as.
Yeah, poll by poll. So, at one poll they may say, just come with your regular old voter registration and you can vote. Another poll they say, hey, they may say you may need your ID. And that is, and I think that's going to be an interesting subject as we move forward and start this voting process.
Definitely,
Yes, sir.
just something to monitor out there,
Yes,
because
sir.
that affects a lot of people.
Yes, sir.
Well, definitely, Rod, let them know what else you got coming up, man. Keep them informed. Let people know where they can find you as well before we let you get out of here.
Okay. Well, I mean, as you know, Brandon, I'm involved in the locally politics here in Winston-Salem. Like I said, I'm the chairman of my precinct.
And we got some seats actually up. Was it Congressman Mark Walker's? Is it his seat up, or Tom Tillis will be going up?
Yes, it'll be
Tom
going
Tillis.
up. Yes, you're exactly right. And I haven't really been looking at the seats. I've been trying to stay, and see what I can do, helping people get registered. I'm also involved with the Prince Hall Masonic Lodge. We actually have a motorcycle charity ride coming up this weekend where we help the community out. So
awesome.
It'll be on 14th Street, 1025 14th Street. The kickstands go up at 10:30. And we'll take off, and we'll do about an 80-mile ride.
Okay.
We'll get back about 12:30, 1 o'clock. Anybody in the community that want to come by 1025 14th Street, we'll be serving hamburgers and hot dogs when the riders get back and they eat. community can come out and eat. And this fundraiser is all about raising money for Kids Day, what we call Kids Day.
Okay.
And with Kids Day, we purchase book bags and school supplies for the kids who go to school.
Nice.
And they may not have it. And believe it or not, 2 out of 5 kids in the United States begin school without the necessary supplies that they need. So although we're only making a very small dent, we'd love those motorcycle riders who ride. Come out, join us.
For sure.
It's $20 to ride, but you also get a T-shirt. You get a meal afterwards.
Okay.
And you're doing a good job in helping these kids have the tools that they need to be educated.
Most definitely.
And so if you're not doing anything, or you know anybody who's not doing anything, hey, come out. Say hello, have a burger, hot dog, whatever.
Yeah.
And just wish us well and all that good stuff. And then at the end, once in August, we will actually pass out the book bags and the school supplies there
Okay.
at 1025 East 14th Street. And then as the year goes along, we'll raise some more funds and we'll give a donation to one of the Title I schools like we did last year. And the Chronicle had a write-up for us last year. We gave $1,200 that was left over to Hall Woodward last year. Yep. So we were in the Chronicle doing that. So that's one of the events that I'm doing. You can also find me on Saturdays doing the rundown, sports rundown, WSJS. You can find me on Saturdays with the rundown with Desmond Johnson. We do that every Saturday from 10 to 12. The co-host there. And you can also find me podcast, Franchise Players. That is with Desmond Johnson, Johnny O, and myself, Rod Funderburk. We do that podcast, and we try to put one out weekly. It's called Franchise Players.
You guys got some good stuff on there.
Yeah, so we have fun. And
that NFL draft one, that initial one was interesting.
Yes, sir. So we have a good time. Yeah, we have a good time.
Rod, you're a man of the people, my guy. Appreciate you being on, man.
Good to see you, man. Thank
Always.
You for having me.
Hey, anytime. Till next time, that's a wrap for us. For the latest and the greatest, subscribe to Live with Brandon Blakney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. You did? Welcome back. And I definitely hope y'all enjoyed it. Great interview, very insightful. That's it for us. For all the latest and the greatest, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to Live with Brandon Blakney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. You did?